We need to talk about Squad. And when I say we need to talk about Squad, I don't mean, hey, let's talk about the Unreal Engine 5 upgrade, or aren't you excited for France being included as a next playable faction? That would be cool if they bought the mod, right? No, I don't care about any of that. And if I'm being completely honest, the script that I had for this video, I've thrown it away. The video that I wanted to make on this topic can never be made. Because of what has happened over the past few days, I can't do it. I can't in good faith talk about this topic and not talk about all the problems that have come from it. And I know out the gate this seems a little dramatic and you're probably still wondering, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. Your thumbnail is weird. What is Squad Arena? Why is there a pink pistol on it? What is going on? Well, for the first time in about 5 years, Off-World Industries held a tournament. And I need to make this very clear. This isn't a community tournament for Squad. This isn't even a community tournament for Squad that is potentially sponsored by Off-World Industries. No, the developers have held their first tournament for Squad since Off-World Industries Squad Championship, which was about 5 years ago. This is an official OWI sanctioned tournament. It is organized by OWI, it is promoted by OWI, and although in the announcement they mentioned they worked with the modding community to make it happen, I'm assuming that 95% of everything is still OWI. I cannot reiterate this enough. This is an OWI tournament. And when I say the words Squad Arena, probably the vast majority of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. That in itself is already a problem, but we'll get there. So Squad Arena is the first official Off-World Industries tournament for Squad in about 5 years. It was announced on March 7th for the following weekend on March 15th. Now, I'm not saying I am super experienced in running a tournament, but I did run my own large-scale tournament last year. It was an 8-team knockout called the Eye in the Sky Invitational. It ran over the course of 3 weekends in June and July. It had over $2,000 in prizes. It had an outside sponsor. I paid my referees. We started planning in March, and it took an entire month for teams to sign up and then to be vetted to be accepted into the tournament. From the start of initial planning to the last day of the tournament, that was about 5 months. And if I'm being honest, planning with my wife behind the scenes started the fall before. I'd been thinking about this tournament for a long time. So my immediate reaction when I saw that Squad Arena was going to not just announce the tournament, but then hold the tournament within that same week, I just had a gut feeling that this was going to be a disaster. But seeing that OWI was running it, I really felt like they could pull it off. Yes, my gut said it was going to be a disaster, but anything that a development team actually does for the game usually has the game's best interest in it, especially when it comes to something as outwardly facing as an esports competition that not just the player community can take part in and enjoy, but people who don't even play the game of Squad might see, hey, there's this like milsim tactical shooter tournament. That's kind of cool. I've seen people talk about this. Let's check it out. When you think of other tournaments that are run by development teams, I'm thinking things like the PUBG tournaments, Overwatch and their Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, even things like Dota or League of Legends. The development team is heavily involved in these esports tournaments, and it is all very professional. I had zero details about Squad Arena. I was aware of it when you guys were aware of it when it was pinged in the official Squad Discord, but although the timeline was a huge red flag, I still wanted to believe that this would come off not unlike these other development run tournaments. However, the day before the tournament was supposed to take place on March 14th, the community manager Siege announced that they would have to delay it. I was not entirely surprised seeing this delay because that was a very quick turnaround, but that made me believe that, okay, it's given them another week to plan or get more teams in or figure out whatever they needed to do. Hopefully this can still go off pretty well. If you're watching this video on March 24th when it's released, then this tournament happened literally 2 days ago. I wanted to watch the entire thing, but unfortunately this entire weekend from Friday, I was pretty much out with my family. From the moment we woke up to the moment we got home at dinner, we were just out doing stuff. It was a fantastic time with my family, with my wife, with my kids. We had an absolute blast. But on March 22nd, the Saturday when the tournament was supposed to happen, I am going to admit I took some time, like a couple minutes, and right in the middle of the tournament, I opened up my phone, I hopped on Twitch, and I wanted to see what was going on because this seemed like such an interesting concept. Squad Arena is a 16-on-16 infantry-based tournament. Not only is it infantry, but it's on a custom map. There are custom kits made specifically for the tournament, so that way you don't have players running like Sapper or Heavy Anti-Tank. And it also has one life rules. If you die, you can't respawn, and instead you have to wait for a medic. But there was also an aspect of this where if the time ran out, all of a sudden AI players would spawn in and bots would try to kill the surviving members of the teams. I don't know, it was very confusing. It almost felt like Tarkov Arena. If you guys remember Tarkov Arena, it was taking Tarkov's combat and movement and putting players into a team deathmatch. And if you didn't get the objective in time, then you had like Killa come in and scavs and they tried to kill people and whoever survived won. It was kind of weird in Tarkov Arena. A lot of people didn't like it. And seeing this in squad is even more odd. But that's what the tournament was. 16 infantry players against 16 infantry players, custom map, custom kits. And if you don't kill people in 5 minutes, then AI bots come over and kill you. And I guess that's what you do. Whoever wins the most in this best of 5 or 7 or whatever it was, will then move on in the bracket until the tournament has their championship final. Would it surprise you at all if I told you that this thing was a catastrophic failure? And when I mean catastrophic failure, I don't mean like people didn't have fun, it was low viewership. No, what I mean is that everything from the presentation of the stream to the execution of the tournament failed. The stream itself felt very amateur hour. It didn't feel like there was any schedule to go along things. People just hop in, hop out. Nobody knew if the tournament was actually live. People didn't know if the rounds were live. People who were casting didn't seem like they even really knew what the tools were on how to properly show the map and the game to the viewers. The entire thing was an absolute dumpster fire visually. I'm not even talking about the content of the tournament, because the content of the tournament was hard to get through because the crashes. Players would crash out consistently. Rounds would have to be restarted. Players couldn't respawn in. Everything was going wrong. And what's worse about this is that not just visually from a viewer standpoint, the stream seemed kind of hastily put together and amateur hour, almost like they just said, well, we said we're going to do it on Saturday, so press live and we'll see what happens. But with the content being so bad and crashy and buggy, it actually does such a huge disservice to Off-World Industries as a whole. If players who already play the game come and watch this tournament and they see what's happening, they will say, okay, yeah, it's a squad mod and it's bugging out and that's haha, silly, whatever. If players who don't watch squad come and watch this tournament, or maybe players who just casually pay attention to squad, maybe they play it once a week or whatever, if they come to watch this tournament and they see everything breaking, what are they actually going to think about the development team? This development team has sold you the idea for now a year that they are competent enough to upgrade the entire game from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. I just watched 2 hours of a bumbling mess of a mod consistently crash. At the end of the day, this should be very basic, but even the mod itself was so buggy. It kills me that I even have to say this, but the mod itself was so broken that after a week delay to hold the tournament was canceled mid-tournament, saying, hey, we didn't catch these bugs. There are certain issues that are preventing people from enjoying this, so we have to cancel the tournament. This is an absolute PR disaster for Off-World Industries. And based on this, I don't trust Off-World Industries to not just host a tournament, but to even make a mod. How is it that developers are working with the modding community, are hosting their own tournament, and still can't create a mod that doesn't crash and bug out? How are they not QAing their own mod for their own tournament? You have Arma Reforger, which is a tech demo for Arma 4. Players are playing it, they're modding content for it. Yeah, of course there are crashes and bugs, but there is so much more stability in that platform than Squad, and we want to believe that Squad is going to be going into the future with UE5. I was just shown what OWI is capable of, and it is a disaster of a tournament. And that's a small scale tournament. There's like no vehicles included. This was in UE4. I am just so disappointed that I have to look at OWI shooting themselves in the foot, making an unforced error, and making almost a mockery of the entire competitive scene. I'm not even really in the competitive scene. Yes, I ran a tournament and I'm trying to get into planning phase for the next one, but there's a competitive squad tournament almost every month, maybe even every other week. Competitive squad happens all the time. Modded events in squad happen all the time. There are modded servers that are full 24/7. There are people like myself who shoutcast squad every single day. How did Off-World Industries ignore the advice and learned experience of all these people collectively having probably dozens of years of doing this, and they came up with Squad Arena, which failed not once, but twice, and I don't even know if it's going to happen again. At this rate, they have to fix it and try to push through with it, otherwise they are just admitting complete defeat. But I don't think I can watch it. I don't know how anyone can look at this and be okay with what happened if you're OWI. I'm sorry if this is harsh. I'm sorry if this is not technically politically correct because I am a squad partner, but this is so disappointing. I had such an exciting video planned on Squad Arena and how they might be changing squad and squad's meta and trying to break into the esports scene a little bit. And I was trying to compare it to things like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege and stuff like that. No, it's not even the same ballpark, not even the same game at this point. This is just a joke. And I am frustrated, I'm disappointed, and you should be too. I wanted Squad Arena to be successful. I prepared for Squad Arena to be successful. I planned on Squad Arena to be successful, but the truth of the matter is, it's not. I don't think it's going to be. I think this might just be a hard lesson that OWI takes from and says, wow, we really screwed that up, and maybe we can do something in the future, but there's almost zero way that Squad Arena can recover from this, in my opinion. I'm going to be watching from afar. If this ends up happening, cool. If it's successful, cool. I really want it to be because I think it could be cool. But at this rate, there's zero signs that this is going to be something that I would want to take part in or watch, which is, at the end of the day, just disappointing. And I think, once again, just unnecessary negative PR when the game right now, there's like no updates for Squad right now. And that's okay. I think most of the community is okay with no updates because we know the development time is being spent into making Unreal Engine 5 work flawlessly. So if there's no updates, no real things to talk about the game, and we are hit with a OWI competition that has an OWI built mob that breaks, dude, how in the world are we going to trust that you guys know how to even make your own game at this point? Ugh, this is so disappointing. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm disappointed, man. I spent this weekend going to the rodeo. I went and saw monster trucks with my kids. I had an absolute blast, and I thought I was going to be able to come home and watch some really cool competitive squad stuff. And instead, I had to make one of the most negative videos I've made in a while, and I don't like that. I really don't. I'm frustrated. I hope OWI gets their heads out of their asses and can actually fix this and make it good. But in my opinion, the premise for this was already ridiculous with bots trying to kill players and trying to make that competitive. So scrap the whole thing, go back to the drawing board, and maybe this time talk with your freaking community if you want to plan something. It's almost like we've been doing this and producing it for years already. So maybe we actually know what we're doing. Ugh. All right, dude, I need to go for a walk. God, that's so disappointing.
Let's see, mix.
That's correct. A grill. I have one.
And we fix. All right, let's see if we can get that sorted. Let's just hop up here for a moment. Okay, yeah, we're going to restart the match, but it's one